Hi YouTube, Watchify here with part 2 of my State of the Collection video. I mentioned in part 1 that I'll try to be brief in describing each watch and why I purchased it and what I like about it. I'll go in order of when I added the watch to my collection, and I'll mention whether or not I could see myself selling the watch simply as an indication of how much I currently value having the watch in my collection. Not that I'm looking for offers, and these watches are watches that I enjoy owning but could see myself selling to make room for other watches one day. First up is the Seiko Sumo Spb 101J. I saw this pre-owned watch listed for sale on eBay from an Australian seller. I had been thinking of adding a Sumo to my collection for a while at that point. It was sold with this Jubilee strap code bracelet in addition to the original Seiko bracelet. I like the case shape and finishing as well as the 70-hour 6R35 movement. I like the clean black dial and how it comes with a sapphire crystal. So by getting this and the previously mentioned SBDC 051, I was starting to move up to, the next level of Seiko automatics in terms of my purchases. I'm not planning on modding this watch, and generally the more that I pay for a watch, the less likely I am to open it up and try to mod it. I think this watch will remain in my collection for a long time. Next is the Fibos Wavemaster model PY010C. It's a 300 meter diver, automatic diver. I think I saw a video about this watch and was drawn in by the wave pattern dial and the blue lume. You get a lot of specs for the price with this watch, so I decided to purchase a new one. There really isn't anything to mod with this watch, and this is actually the only non-Japanese brand watch that I have in my collection right now. I also recently did a review video on it. At the time I purchased it, I was interested in trying out a micro brand watch, and I don't think I'll be selling this watch anytime soon as I enjoy wearing it. Next is another Seiko. This is the model SNE 541P Solar Street Tuna. It's a 200 meter quartz diver, Prospex diver. I like the aged lume look that this dial has and how it has a worry-free solar movement. The rubber watch strap is really comfortable, and I like how the watch looks overall, so that's why I purchased it new. I was considering changing out the shroud for a metal one, but those are pretty pricey, so I decided against it. I really like owning this watch and have no plans on selling it. Next up is the Orient Kamaso diver. It's the green dial version, or some call it teal. I had originally bought the red dial version of this watch and was happy with the watch overall, but I didn't like the red dial as much as I thought I was going to like it. So I sold that one and got this green version. The dial color looks dark green in some lighting, but tealish in others, so it kind of stands out in my collection. It's a solid automatic dive watch that is pretty well known, and I wear this on a strap code Jubilee bracelet that I purchased for it, and I think the bracelet complements the watch really well. I could actually see myself selling this watch one day though, to make room for another watch. At this point I started getting interested in Casio G-Shock, so I picked up this model DWE 5600CC3ER. I got it from an online seller in Europe, and I think I saw a video on this watch and was really interested in purchasing it. I like the green and the gold circuitry pattern, and this watch also comes with an alternate gray strap and an alternate case. I owned a G-Shock much earlier in my life, so I know how they can take a beating and basically last forever. So I really enjoy having this watch in my collection and don't see myself parting with it. Next is another G-Shock. This one is model GA2110ET8A, also known as the Casio. As you can see, this is the gray variant, and there obviously was a lot of hype and buzz about this watch on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet. So when I saw this gray version, I really wanted to own one. I purchased it new directly from the G-Shock website. I enjoy owning the watch and will probably keep it in my collection long term. Next, I picked up another Seiko. This is the Prospex Alpinist model SBDC 089. So of course there's tons of videos out there about the Alpinist line and the various reissues. I had wanted a lighter dial version of this watch, so I got the cream dial version, and I really like the contrasting look of the dial against the black leather strap that it comes with. This watch has a higher end 70-hour power reserve 6R35 movement and has a sapphire crystal just like my Sumo that I showed earlier. And I bought this watch new from a seller on eBay, and I like how this watch kind of is somewhat dressy, but it also has that field watch aesthetic to it, and I really enjoy owning it and will probably keep it long term. The next watch is the famous and well-known Seiko 5 model SNKL23K. I purchased it new, and right away I had decided I was going to mod the crystal and try to do something with the bracelet. So I replaced the Hardlex crystal with a red AR sapphire, and I later decided to go with a clear AR sapphire, so that's what the watch has now. In terms of the bracelet, I found a third-party bracelet. It's a Jubilee style, and I think it looks good with this watch. I think that I bought this watch because deep inside I was really wanting a Sarb 033, but I didn't want to pay the inflated price for that discontinued watch. So things have changed since then, but in terms of this watch, I really enjoy having it in the collection. So trying to round out the collection at the time, I was looking for a field style watch and decided to purchase this Citizen Garrison model AW005082E. I liked the look of the watch and decided to buy one new from Amazon. I had recently uploaded a video on this watch too. It's an eco-drive model with 100 meters of water resistance. And interestingly enough, after purchasing this watch, I saw it at a Citizen outlet store near where I live, and I was amazed how great this watch looks under jewelry case lighting. But maybe you could say that for any watch. Even though I like owning this watch, I would consider selling it to make room for other watches. Next up in the collection, I picked up another Casio G-Shock. This is model DW5600SK1. I got it from Amazon, and at the time I liked the translucent case and the translucent gray strap. But looking back on it, I have since picked up another translucent Casio G-Shock, so that would probably make me one day consider selling this watch. The next watch in the collection is another Orient Bambino automatic dress watch that I saw online, and at the time I was struck by the blue and the black dial. I also liked the black faux crocodile strap that this watch comes with. I try to have a good mix of black, blue, and lighter or white colored dials in my collection. So I bought this one new and enjoy wearing it. If I had to get rid of either this one or the gray dial Bambino that I showed in the part 1 video, it would be a tough decision, but I would probably choose to keep this blue dial version. Next is another Seiko 5 watch. This time it's the famous model SNZG13J1. I knew I'd be modding this watch after I got it, so I replaced the Hardlex crystal with a double dome sapphire crystal. I'm actually planning on making a video soon on the pros and cons of watch modding and whether it makes sense or not. So back to this watch. This is the version that comes on a metal bracelet, but unfortunately Seiko still sells this model with the older 7S36 movement that does not hack or hand wind, and that was actually why I hesitated buying this watch at first. This watch occupies the field watch category in my collection, so it kind of makes my Citizen Garrison field watch that I showed earlier a bit redundant. I plan on keeping this watch in my collection long term. Now back to my obsession with the Sarb 033. I saw this cream dial Sarb 035 selling new for a fair price, so I decided to purchase it. I was surprised to see it was selling on Amazon since it had been discontinued for some time already, and I was seeing it being sold or offered at a much higher price elsewhere. At this point, I'm also trending towards adding dressier type Seikos into my collection, so adding this watch kind of made sense at the time. I'm really impressed with the watch and enjoy wearing it. I do wish though that the clasp came with a third micro adjustment hole. Other than that, I love owning this watch and will be keeping it long term. In the part 1 video, I showed my JDM Seiko Seri 055. That's the white dial version of this watch. I enjoy owning that watch, so when I saw this black dial version, this is model SARY 057, I decided to add it. And just like the 055, this watch has a kanji day wheel and it comes on a really nice metal bracelet. It has a reliable 4R36 movement and a sapphire crystal, but there's no lume on the dial. I purchased it pre-owned from a seller on eBay, and I thought that having this watch might put to rest my desire of wanting the black dial Sarb 033. I enjoy owning and having this watch in my collection and plan on keeping it long term. Nearing the end here, I've got my G-Shock translucent Casio model GA2100 SKE7A. I did an unboxing video on this watch recently, and because this watch is in such high demand and sold out on the G-Shock website, I ended up buying it new from a seller on eBay and paid $65 more than retail. I don't regret it, however, as I really enjoy owning and wearing this watch. It's fully translucent, and I wonder though if over time the strap will turn yellow. I plan on keeping this watch in my collection long term. I was on the lookout for a titanium cased watch, so I decided to purchase this Seiko Quartz model SUR371P1, new from a seller on eBay. They had recently come out, and I like how I could get a titanium Seiko dress watch with a sapphire crystal for under $200. I opted for this lesser known lighter blue dial, but if I had to do it over again, I probably would have gotten the darker blue SUR373 version. I did an unboxing video on this watch and enjoy having it in the collection for now. Finally, the last watch in the collection is the Seiko Starb 033. I saw this for sale pre-owned from a seller on eBay and decided to pick it up. The watch is in near perfect condition and the seller was asking for a fair price, so I jumped on it. There really isn't much else to say about this discontinued JDM watch that hasn't already been said, and you know, that's because it's so famous in the watch community. So now on to the topic of whether owning this many affordable or semi-affordable watches makes sense. Obviously that's up to each individual, and every person is free to spend their money on what they choose to. I do find that having this many watches makes it difficult to decide which watch to wear on any given day. I often wear one watch for part of the day and then switch to another watch in the evening. It's nice to always have a watch to go with whatever attire I'm wearing at the time. Could I have done that with a 3 or a 5 watch collection? Probably yes. So I view watch collecting as a hobby, obviously. Most people have hobbies and interests to distract us from the day-to-day grind. This hobby brings me enjoyment, and I'm not sure if you could put a price on that. This has allowed me to get experience into watch modding and regulating watches, and exposed me to a whole world of watch-related content on YouTube. I'm particularly fascinated about automatic watches since the movements are so intricate. They seem timeless in a way in how they don't rely on any power source other than hand winding or one's own wrist movement. And other than occasional servicing, they seem like they could potentially last a very long time if they're cared for. I sometimes take out my watches from their case just to look at them, or try to, put them on different straps to see how that changes the look. So yes, for the money I spent on all these watches, I could have purchased a high-end luxury brand watch, but right now I'm not interested in just owning one high-end watch. I'm not drawn to a Rolex or some other well-known luxury watch out there. Not that there's anything wrong with those watches or owning a single Grail watch. I actually really like the Omega Seamaster 300, and maybe will own one or a Grand Seiko at some point. But for now, if I wore a Grail watch, I think I'd be more worried about damaging it or dropping it than I am with my current watches. I also understand that those watches need to get professionally serviced periodically, and that can get pricey over time. I always have the option of selling my watches and getting one or two higher end watches if I ever change my mind later on. I've also considered which of my watches I would keep if I wanted to, pare down the collection to either a 3, a 5, or a 10 watch collection. So maybe I'll do a video on that in the near future. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll continue to try to upload and improve on my watch related content. Till next time, thanks.